Embark on a journey into the depths of remote jungles and forgotten mountains, where ancient tribes thrive amidst traditions steeped in mystery and survival. From the North Sentinel Island to the Moken tribe, these tribes remain enigmatic. Their rituals and ways of life captivating and chilling in equal measure. Join us as we delve into the tales of the world's scariest tribes you won't want to meet, uncovering stories that defy understanding and linger in the imagination long after they're told. Number 13, North Sentinel Island. Welcome to the mysterious world of the Sentinelese, a tribe that's managed to keep the modern world at bay for thousands of years. These formidable defenders of their ancestral homeland, nestled on the isolated North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal, are well known. The Sentinelese aren't your typical neighbors. They're one of the last uncontacted peoples on Earth, and they aim to keep it that way. Their island? It's a no-go zone, protected by both the Indian government and the tribe's unwavering determination to remain isolated. Now you might be wondering, what's their deal? Well, the Sentinelese have called this tropical paradise home for an estimated 60,000 years. That's right, while civilizations rose and fell, these folks stuck to their guns, or rather their bows and arrows. Speaking of which, they're not exactly rolling out the welcome mat for visitors. The Sentinelese are known for their hostile reactions to outsiders, greeting approaching boats with a hail of arrows. It's their way of saying thanks but no thanks to any attempts at contact. This steadfast isolation has left anthropologists and researchers scratching their heads. We know precious little about their language, customs, or even their population size. Estimates range from a mere 15 to about 500 individuals, but nobody's getting close enough to do a proper head count. Their resilience is nothing short of remarkable. The Sentinelese have weathered everything from colonialism to natural disasters, including the devastating 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. When a helicopter flew over to check on them post-tsunami, they responded with, you guessed it, more arrows. The shocking thing is that the Sentinelese maintain their way of life using tools and methods from the Stone Age, even in this technologically advanced world. They're master hunters, fishermen, and gatherers, proving that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The Indian government has taken a hands-off approach, recognizing the tribe's right to live as they choose. It's illegal for outsiders to approach within 3 miles of the island, a measure designed to protect both the Sentinelese and potential visitors from harm. Number 12, the Batak people. Change of pace. In the verdant highlands of northern Sumatra, the Batak people have carved out a distinct lifestyle that is as fascinating as it is misinterpreted. These people are a complex tapestry of subgroups, each with their own unique flavor of tradition and custom. They are not your typical Indonesian tribe. Now, don't let the term Batak fool you. We're not talking about a single homogeneous group here. Instead, picture a vibrant mosaic of communities, each dancing to the beat of their own cultural drum. From the Toba to the Karo, these subgroups have spent centuries cultivating their distinct identities around the mystical Lake Toba. At the heart of Batak life lies a spiritual world that'll make your head spin. These people have one foot in the physical realm and the other firmly planted in the spiritual. Their animistic beliefs aren't just some quaint tradition, they're the very backbone of Batak society, influencing everything from daily chores to major life decisions. Step into a Batak village and you'll find yourself face to face with architectural marvels that'll leave you slack-jawed. Their longhouses aren't just buildings, they're living, breathing cultural hubs. These intricate structures serve as the stage for elaborate rituals that'll make your average block party look like a snooze fest. The Batak are masters of cultural tightrope walking. On one side, they're fiercely protective of their ancient ways. On the other hand, they're navigating the choppy waters of modernization like pros. It's a balancing act that'd make even the most seasoned circus performer break a sweat. And let's not forget the challenges they're up against. From the siren call of urban life luring away younger generations to the environmental pressures threatening their ancestral lands, the Batak have their work cut out for them, but don't count them out just yet. These people have grit in spades. Community initiatives are springing up faster than you can say cultural preservation, with everything from language classes to traditional craft workshops, keeping the Batak flame burning bright. And they're not alone in this fight. The Indonesian government has thrown its hat in the ring, recognizing the value of keeping this cultural treasure alive. So what's the secret sauce to the Batak's staying power? It's their uncanny ability to roll with the punches. They're not stuck in the past, far from it. Instead, they're taking the best of both worlds, blending age-old wisdom with modern know-how to create a cultural cocktail that's uniquely theirs. Number 11, the Skeleton Clan. Deep in the heart of Papua New Guinea, where the jungle whispers ancient secrets, you'll find a group that'll send shivers down your spine, the Skeleton Clan. But hold on to your hats, because these aren't your Halloween party skeletons. We're talking about a cultural powerhouse that's been dancing with death and celebrating life for centuries. Now you might be thinking, what's with the spooky name? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into a world where the line between the living and the dead is blurrier than your vision after a long night out. The Skeleton Clan isn't just putting on a show, they're the real deal when it comes to connecting with the spirit world. We're talking elaborate ceremonies that would make your wildest music festival look like a backyard barbecue. These folks have mastered the art of communing with ancestral spirits, and they do it with style. Let's talk art, shall we? The Skeleton Clan's masks and sculptures aren't just pretty faces. They're windows into a world where myth and history collide in an explosion of creativity. Each piece tells a story, and boy, do these stories pack a punch. It's like walking through a 3D history book, except this one might just talk back to you. The Skeleton Clan isn't some relic gathering dust in a museum. They're alive and kicking, adapting to the modern world while keeping one foot firmly planted in their rich traditions. It's a balancing act that'd make a tightrope walker sweat. Now don't get it twisted. Life for the Skeleton Clan isn't all spirit dances and mask making. They're facing some serious challenges. Modernization is knocking on their door, and Mother Nature's been throwing some curveballs their way. But if you think that's enough to make these folks throw in the towel, think again. The Skeleton Clan is fighting back with everything they've got. Community initiatives are popping up faster than you can say cultural preservation. They're teaming up with everyone from local government to international organizations, all in the name of keeping their unique way of life alive and kicking. So what's the big deal about a bunch of people who like to hang out with spirits? Well, let me tell you. The Skeleton Clan is more than just a fascinating footnote in an anthropology textbook. They're living proof that in a world that's changing faster than you can update your smartphone, there's still room for ancient wisdom and spiritual connections. Number 10. The Dezana Tribe. Nestled along the Vulpes River in Colombia and Brazil, the Dezana have carved out an existence that's as complex as the ecosystem they call home. But don't let their remote location fool you. These guys are far from being stuck in the past. Now let's talk about their worldview, because it's about to blow your mind. For the Dezana, the universe isn't just what you see, it's a trippy tapestry of interconnected realms. They believe in a cosmic energy called He that flows through everything. It's like they're living in their own version of the Matrix, but way cooler and with more face paint. Speaking of face paint, the Dezana take their body art to a whole new level. It's not just about looking good. Each design is a living, breathing story, connecting them to their ancestors and the spirit world. It's like wearing your family tree and your spiritual beliefs all at once. The Dezana are the ultimate environmentalists, putting our recycling efforts to shame. They see themselves as the guardians of the forest, with a responsibility to maintain the delicate balance of nature. Their sustainable practices would make even the most dedicated eco-warrior green with envy. That is all well and good, you may be asking yourself, but how do they party? Keep your headdresses handy, because Dezana ceremonies are incredible. Hallucinogenic drinks fuel these all-night dance rituals, which make your typical rave seem like a kindergarten sing-along. But it's not just about having a good time. These ceremonies are their way of communing with the spirit world and maintaining cosmic harmony. But life isn't all cosmic dances and face paint for Dasana. They're facing some serious challenges, from deforestation threatening their homeland to the lure of modern life tempting their youth. Yet in true Dasana fashion, they're facing these challenges head-on, adapting while still holding tight to their core beliefs. The Dasana are incredibly resilient, which is what makes them so amazing. Through centuries of external pressure, they have maintained their distinct culture and traditional knowledge. Their way of life seems to be surrounded by an imperceptible force field that bends but never breaks. Number 9. Asaro Tribe. A tribe that elevates playing in the dirt to a whole new level is the Asaro Mudmen, so fasten your seatbelts and get ready to explore their world. These people are not your typical mud pie makers. They are tucked away in Papua New Guinea's eastern highlands. They're the masters of mud, the sultans of silt, and the kings of clay. Now you might be thinking, what's so special about a bunch of guys covered in mud? Well, buckle up, because the Asaro Mudmen are about to blow your mind. These people have turned getting dirty into an art form that'll make your Halloween costume look like a children's play. Picture this: eerie, ghost-like figures emerging from the mist, their bodies coated in pale clay, wearing masks that look like they've been sculpted by nature itself. It's not a scene from a horror movie, it's just another day for the Asaro Mudmen. But here's the kicker: these mud masks aren't just for show, they're Asaro's hotline to the spirit world. When these guys make their clay creations, they're not just playing dress-up, they're channeling the power of their ancestors. It's like FaceTiming with the spirit realm, but way cooler and with 100% more mud. The origin story of these mud masters is as wild as their appearance. Legend has it that the Asaro were once defeated in battle and forced to flee into the Asaro River. When they emerged, covered in white clay, their enemies mistook them for spirits and ran away screaming. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. Now you might be wondering, how do they keep this muddy tradition alive in the age of smartphones and TikTok? Well, the Asaro Mudmen aren't stuck in the past. They're riding the wave of cultural preservation like pros, turning their unique tradition into a tourist attraction that's putting their little corner of Papua New Guinea on the map. But don't think for a second that this is just some gimmick for the tourists. The mud mask ritual is serious business for the Asaro. It's a way of connecting with their roots, honoring their ancestors, and keeping their cultural identity alive in a rapidly changing world. Number 8. Machu Picchu Tribe. Our journey to the mysterious Andes will take us to a puzzle left by the Inca civilization that centuries later still baffles scientists. Welcome to Machu Picchu, the ultimate flex of ancient engineering that'll make your Lego creations look like child's play. Now let's get one thing straight. Machu Picchu isn't just some pile of old rocks. This place is the Beyoncé of archaeological sites, the crown jewel of Peru, and the Instagram backdrop that'll make your followers green with envy. But trust me, it's got way more going on than just being photogenic. Think of this. It's the 15th century. And while Europe is still figuring out how to build a decent cathedral, the Inca are up here in the clouds, constructing a city that defies gravity, logic, and pretty much everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Machu Picchu wasn't just a city, it was the ultimate royal retreat. Think of it as the Hamptons for Inca nobility, but with 100% more llamas and a view that would make even the most jaded jet-setter's jaw drop. This place was part palace, part temple, and all kinds of awesome. But here's where things get really wild. The Incas built this entire city without a wheel, iron tools, or even mortar. That's right. They basically played the world's biggest game of Jenga, fitting massive stone blocks so tightly together that you couldn't slip a credit card between them. And they did it on top of a mountain. Now you might be thinking, if this place is so great, why did they abandon it? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Machu Picchu pulled a Houdini sometime in the 16th century, vanishing from history until 1911 when explorer Hiram Bingham stumbled upon it. Since then, Machu Picchu has become the rock star of archaeological sites. It's got UNESCO World Heritage status, and millions of people flock here every year to soak up its mystery and maybe snap a selfie or two. But Machu Picchu is more than just a pretty face. It's a testament to human ingenuity, a window into a lost civilization, and a reminder that our ancestors were way cooler than we give them credit for. Number 7. Akuntsu Tribe. The Akuntsu tribe is changing the definition of resilience in the face of near extinction. They are not just off the grid. Do not forget to buckle up. Their tale will have you laughing harder than any crazy roller coaster ride. The Akuntsu are a people that live like the last remaining embers of a once raging fire deep within the Brazilian Amazon. Originally part of the larger Tupari people, these guys have been through the ringer and come out swinging. We're talking about a group that went from a thriving community to just a handful of individuals faster than you can say deforestation. What is so special about a tiny tribe in the middle of nowhere? Is probably what is on your mind right now. Retain your headdresses, for the Akuntsu are a living example of how cultural preservation can occur regardless of size. With the dedication of a bulldog on a bone, these people have held fast to their customs, language, and spiritual beliefs. But let's rewind to the 1980s, a decade that wasn't all about neon and big hair for the Akuntsu. While the rest of the world was dancing to Madonna, these guys were facing a fight for survival that would make your worst day look like a walk in the park. Illegal loggers and land grabbers came crashing into their world, bringing disease, violence, and devastation. Here's where it gets really intense. The Akuntsu were nearly wiped out, reduced to just a handful of survivors. But did they throw in the towel? Hell no. They pulled off a comeback that would make any Hollywood underdog story look like a child's play. Fast forward to today, and the Akuntsu are still here, still kicking, and still doing things their way. They've got their own language, their own customs, and a connection to the forest that would make even the most dedicated tree hugger look like an amateur. But don't think for a second that life is all rainbows and butterflies for the Akuntsu. They're facing challenges that would make your worst nightmare seem like a pleasant daydream. Illegal logging is still knocking at their door, and the modern world is creeping closer every day. Here's the kicker though. The Akuntsu aren't facing these challenges alone. Indigenous rights organizations and even the Brazilian government have stepped up to the plate, helping to protect their land and preserve their way of life. It's like watching David take on Goliath, but with a whole cheering squad backing him up. What's truly mind-blowing about the Akuntsu is their unwavering spirit. Despite everything they've been through, they're still here, still practicing their traditions, and still showing the world what it means to be truly connected to the land. Number 6. Kazakh Eagle Hunters Tribe. Now we're about to soar into the world of the Kazakh Eagle Hunters, a tribe that makes your backyard birdwatching look like amateur hour. These Central Asian badasses have taken falconry and cranked it up to 11, turning it into an art form that'll leave you breathless. Imagine wild riders charging across wide steppes while golden eagles sat atop their arms like lightning bolts, ready to pounce. It is just another Tuesday for the Kazakh Eagle Hunters. This is not a scene from a fantasy film. You may be wondering, what is the big deal about hanging out with birds? At this point, we can assure you though that this is not your grandmother's parakeet. With wingspans that would make a small airplane blush, these eagles are nature's ultimate killer machines. And the Kazakhs? They figured out how to team up with these aerial predators in a partnership that's lasted for centuries. It gets really crazy here though, because for these people, eagle hunting is more than just a pastime. It's a way of life, a spiritual practice, and a link to their ancestors, all rolled into one feathery package. When a Kazakh hunter releases their eagle, they're not just going after dinner. They're keeping alive a tradition that's older than most countries. Now, you might be wondering how these guys managed to keep this ancient practice alive in the age of DoorDash and Netflix. Well, get ready. The Kazakh eagle hunters are masters of adaptation. They've taken their ancient skills and turned them into a cultural showcase that's putting Kazakhstan on the map. But don't think for a second that this is just some tourist trap. The bond between a Kazakh hunter and their eagle is deeper than your average marriage. These birds aren't pets. They're partners, confidants, and living links to a nomadic past that's fading faster than a summer tan. And let's talk about the hunters themselves. These aren't your average Joes with a weird bird obsession. Kazakh eagle hunters are the ultimate outdoorsmen, able to read the land like you read your Twitter feed. They can spot a fox from a mile away, navigate by the stars, and probably survive an apocalypse with nothing but their wits and their feathered friends. To be an eagle hunter is not just about magnificent flights and thrilling hunts, though. This is the real kicker. These guys are facing some serious challenges. Climate change is messing with their hunting grounds, and the siren call of city life is luring away the younger generation faster than you can say Wi-Fi. Yet in true Kazakh style, they're facing these challenges head-on. Cultural festivals, training programs for the youth, and even ecotourism initiatives are all part of their arsenal in the fight to keep their traditions alive. It's like watching a high-stakes game of cultural Jenga, with the Kazakhs pulling out all the stops to keep their heritage from toppling. Number 5. The Mursi Tribe. Welcome to the wild world of the Mursi Tribe, where beauty standards are flipped on their heads and body modification takes center stage. Nestled in Ethiopia's Omo Valley, these folks aren't just marching to the beat of their own drum. They're creating an entire symphony of cultural uniqueness that'll make your head spin. The Mursi are famous for their lip plates. That's right, we're talking about women rocking clay or wooden discs in their lower lips that could double as dinner plates. It's like they looked at the idea of facial piercings and said, "Hold my beer." But don't be fooled, this isn't just some random fashion statement. For the Mursi, these lip plates are a source of pride, a mark of beauty, and a middle finger to conventional aesthetics. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what about the men? Mursi men are not going to be surpassed in the body mod department, so hang on to your hats. These guys engage in stick-fighting contests that make your average bar brawl look like a pillow fight. It's all about proving their strength and scoring some serious street cred. But the Mursi aren't just walking art galleries, they're master survivors in one of the harshest environments on Earth. These folks have turned cattle herding into an extreme sport, navigating drought, wild animals, and terrain that would make your average hiker cry for their mama. It's like they're playing a real-life version of Survivor, but with way higher stakes and no $1,000,000 prize at the end. The social structure of the Mursi people is like a taut pair of skinny jeans. This is where things get really interesting. Extended family units rule the roost, with a communal spirit that would put your neighborhood block party to shame. When a Mursi says it takes a village, they're not kidding around. But life isn't all lip plates and stick fights for the Mursi. They're facing some serious challenges that would make your worst day look like a walk in the park. Deforestation is creeping in faster than you can say climate change, and the modern world is knocking on their door with all the subtlety of a wrecking ball. Yet in true Mursi fashion, they're not going down without a fight. These people are adapting to the changing times while still keeping their cultural roots firmly planted. It's like watching a high-wire act between tradition and modernity. And let me tell you, the Mursi are nailing it. Number 4. The Waorani Tribe. The ultimate guardians of the Amazon who make your local environmental group look like they're playing in the kiddie pool. These Ecuadorian warriors aren't just tree huggers, they're the real-life Avengers of the rainforest, minus the spandex and CGI. The Waorani aren't your average jungle dwellers. These people have turned living off the land into an art form that would make Bear Grylls weep with envy. We're talking about master hunters and gatherers who can navigate the dense Amazon with the ease of scrolling through your Instagram feed. They are practically a part of the forest, not just a place they live. Their spiritual connection to the rainforest is so deep, it makes your yoga instructor's oneness with nature spiel sound like amateur hour. For the Waorani, every tree, every animal, and every raindrop is part of an intricate web of life that they're sworn to protect. Now you might be thinking, that's cool and all, but what's the big deal? Well, hold on to your eco-friendly water bottles because the Waorani are on the front lines of a battle that makes Game of Thrones look like a playground scuffle. On one side, you've got big oil companies and loggers drooling over the resource-rich Amazon like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. On the other side, the Waorani, armed with nothing but their ancestral knowledge, fierce determination, and a growing arsenal of legal savvy. They've taken their fight from the forest floor to the courtroom, slapping lawsuits on oil companies, faster than you can say environmental justice. It's like watching David take on Goliath, but instead of a slingshot, David's wielding international human rights laws and a killer social media strategy. But the Waorani aren't just about saying no to the man, they're all about that sustainable life, showing the world how to live in harmony with nature without sacrificing progress. These eco-warriors have embraced eco-tourism, turning their ancestral knowledge into experiences that'll make your last vacation look like a trip to the corner store. Despite all the challenges thrown their way, the Waorani are still standing strong, still rocking their traditional ways and still showing us all how it's done. They're living proof that you don't need skyscrapers and smartphones to be at the cutting edge of environmental conservation. Number 3. Suri Tribe, Surma people. The hipsters from the Ethiopian highlands who make the tattoo parlor down the block look like a kindergarten art class. These individuals are composing a mind-blowing symphony of cultural badassery, not just marching to the beat of their own drum. The ultimate body modders are the Suri, people who transform their bodies into living, breathing artwork that would make Picasso pause in admiration are the subject of our discussion. Lip plates, check. Scarification? You bet. Body painting that puts your face paint game to shame? Absolutely. It's like they looked at the idea of self-expression and said, hold my beer. But don't think for a second that the Suri are all style and no substance. These semi-nomadic pastoralists are tougher than a $2 steak. They've mastered the art of herding cattle in terrain that would make your average hiker cry for their mom. It's like they're playing a real-life version of Survivor, but with way higher stakes and no Jeff Probst to hand out immunity idols. Now, let's talk about ceremony. The Suri don't do anything halfway, and their rituals are no exception. We're talking about events that make your cousin's destination wedding look like a quick trip to the DMV, stick fighting tournaments that'd put MMA to shame. But life isn't all body paint and cattle herding for the Suri. They're facing some serious challenges that would make your worst day look like a walk in the park. Climate change is messing with their grazing lands faster than you can say global warming, and the modern world is knocking on their door with all the subtlety of a wrecking ball. Still, they are not giving up easily, in typical Suri fashion. These people are adjusting to the times while holding fast to their cultural heritage. It's like watching a high-wire act between tradition and modernity. And let me tell you, the Suri are nailing it. Here's where it gets really interesting. The Suri have turned their unique way of life into a cultural showcase that's putting Ethiopia on the map faster than you can say National Geographic. But don't think for a second that this is some kind of human zoo. The Suri are calling the shots, preserving their heritage on their own terms. Number 2. Asmat Tribe. Await your encounter with the Asmat Tribe, Papuan master woodcarvers who will turn your do-it-yourself masterpieces into elementary school macaroni art. They are creating a cultural legacy that will astound you and possibly give you a chill. These folks are not just passing the time. Nestled in the lush rainforests of Indonesia, the Asmat have turned their slice of paradise into a living, breathing art gallery. We're talking intricate wood carvings that would make Michelangelo weep with envy. But hold on to your chisels, folks, because these aren't your grandpa's duck decoys. The Asmat carved to commune with the spirit world, creating pieces that are part family photo album, part ghostly switchboard. Now you might be thinking, cool carvings, but what's the big deal? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because the Asmat take their art more seriously than a Brooklynite takes their artisanal coffee. These carvings aren't just pretty faces, they're the spiritual backbone of Asmat culture, used in rituals that make your average Halloween seance look like a child's play. But don't think for a second that the Asmat are just a bunch of woodworking hermits. These folks are the ultimate survivalists, turning the unforgiving rainforest into their personal grocery store and hardware shop. Hunting, fishing, gathering, the Asmat do it all with a finesse that would make Bear Grylls look like a city slicker on his first camping trip. The Asmat's connection to their environment is deeper than the Mariana Trench. Every tree, every animal, and every ripple in the river is part of a complex spiritual tapestry. It's like they're living in their own episode of Avatar, minus the blue skin and flying dragons. But life isn't all spirit quests and wood carving for the Asmat. They're facing some serious modern-day challenges that would make your worst day look like a walk in the park. Deforestation is creeping in faster than you can say climate change, and the siren call of the modern world is getting louder by the day. They are not, however, allowing these difficulties weaken their resolve in typical Azmot fashion. They're adapting faster than a chameleon in a disco, finding ways to preserve their heritage while navigating the choppy waters of the 21st century. Like a high-stakes game of cultural Jenga, the Azmot is committed to maintaining the towers standing. Cultural preservation initiatives are popping up like mushrooms after rain, documenting Azmot traditions faster than you can carve SOS into a tree trunk. And get this, they're even turning their age-old skills into eco-friendly business ventures. It's like they've taken the concept of green business and cranked it up to 11. Number 1. The Moken Tribe. Cruising the Andaman Sea between Thailand and Myanmar, the Moken have turned island hopping into an extreme lifestyle that would make even the most adventurous cruise ship captain green with envy. Forget your fancy yachts and speedboats. These folks navigate the open waters in handcrafted wooden boats that are part home, part-time machine, connecting them to centuries of maritime tradition. You may be asking yourself, so what? They can swim well. The Moken are practically amphibious, so hang on to your snorkels because they are not just fantastic in the water. We are talking about individuals with underwater vision that rivals that of prescription goggles and breath-holding abilities longer than you can hold a conversation. It's like they've unlocked cheat codes for human aquatic abilities, but the Moken aren't just showing off their Jacques Cousteau-level skills for kicks. Their deep connection to the sea is more than just physical, it's spiritual. These people see the ocean as a living, breathing entity, teeming with spirits and legends that would make your average ghost story sound like a bedtime lullaby. The Moken is an expert on marine environments. They have the ability to read the ocean as well as your Twitter feed. Storm approaching? They were aware of it prior to your weather app. Best fishing spots? They've got a mental Google Maps that puts your GPS to shame. It's like they've got Wi-Fi with the sea itself. But life isn't all smooth sailing for the Moken. They're facing some serious waves of change that would capsize lesser folks. Coastal development is encroaching faster than you can say beachfront property, and tourism is turning their paradise into a playground for selfie stick-wielding visitors. Yet in true sea gypsy style, the Moken are navigating these choppy waters with the grace of a dolphin and the tenacity of a barnacle. They're adapting to the changing tides while still keeping their cultural compass pointing true north. It's like watching a high-stakes game of cultural surfing, and the Moken are riding the waves like pros. Conservation efforts are popping up like life jackets on a sinking ship, with the Moken leading the charge to protect their aquatic domain. They're turning their ancient wisdom into modern-day environmental stewardship, showing the world that sometimes the best way to move forward is to look back. We are coming to an end here today. Thanks for watching, and for such top listing videos, subscribe to our channel.